Welcome back to the Lending Lounge, episode 2. So, you guys were really excited for you to join us again. We actually had a huge, awesome response last week. And so that was very exciting. We realized that this is something that people are desiring, and especially in this market. And so we're very excited to welcome Shane Lyle with JMJ Financial back, and Mr. Garrett Gray, our full-time realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Fine Properties. Shane, welcome, and we're excited to hear what this week the market looks like.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, as far as interest rates go, it's pretty much the same that we were seeing last week. Conventional rates, low sixes, so pretty good. And then for government loans, FHA, VA, we're in the high fives. So
Wow.
we're still hanging on to those rates that have been sort of the bottom of the barrel for the last couple of years. So encouraged by that.
Yeah, that is really exciting. And then, Shane, there's something coming up in February that you had talked about with regard to like a home buying assistance program in the state of California, and a lottery. Will you give us a brief synopsis of that? And if anybody's interested, they can drop it in the comments. We can contact them.
Yeah, so through Cal HFA, which is a down payment assistance program through the state of California, they have the Dream for All down payment assistance program, which offers up to 20%, which is up to 150,000 towards down payment. It is for a specific buyer. You have to be a first generation home buyer.
Oh, wow.
There's income limits. There's a few restrictions on it. So it's not going to work for everyone, but you need to get approved, assume that you fit into those boxes, and then there's going to be a lottery system for being able to capture one of those loans. It was a couple years ago that they last did this, and I think the funds ran out in like 6-7 days, something
Wow.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't think it was a lottery at that point. It was just first people to get in and register, and the money ran out. So they're working it a little differently this year. So I anticipate it'll be the similar turnout as far as the money draining up pretty quick.
Now, that is you. When are they doing that, or like what's the
I can't remember the exact dates. The very end of February.
Okay.
So we got about 3 weeks, I think,
Okay.
until the actual registration opens up for that.
So we will drop in the comments the link to reach out to Shane, so that you can try to get qualified for that. I mean, my gosh, 20% up to $150,000
Yeah, amazing.
down. That's free money. You'd be silly if you are a first generation buyer in California to not look into that. So remember, Garrett and I can sell anywhere in the state of California. We'd love to help you, but let's get you connected with Shane first. So thank you, Shane. And then you had a really awesome opportunity this week to be a part of a seminar that was like talking about basically like what the, not necessarily the predictions, but kind of the outlook of 2026 is. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so this is the second year in a row. My company, JMJ Financial, has hosted. Hosted in a couple local markets in Idaho and in California, and we had Logan Mutashami out. He's the lead analyst for Housing Wire, just renowned across the country as the guy for the housing market, and not necessarily predictions, but forecasting what we're seeing. He's self-proclaimed the chart daddy is his nickname, because he has a presentation and all that's on the screen there's just chart after chart after chart.
That's funny.
And he would call himself a nerd because he kind of is, but he's also got a bunch of charisma and he's very entertaining. So we had him out and he spoke to probably about 125, 150 realtors in our market, and ton of great little tidbits of takeaways that I want to share with you guys. We talked last week, and I said my prediction is I think we're going to have a really solid 2026, and thankfully Logan was saying the same thing. There's a bunch of indicators in the market with all of his charts that are just showing that that's what is likely to happen. I've got some notes here. Because of the lower inflation mixed with the kind of unstable job market, he just says there's no way we're going to see rates jump back up into the sevens. It's just not going to happen. Now, obviously, if we see a big shift in jobs and those job numbers skyrocket, that could change things, but we're not seeing that right now. There's just not, the economy's not strong enough. The job numbers just keep, fluctuating and dropping a bit, along with inflation dropping, which is great. So the combination of those two, we're seeing, the interest rates hold and actually drop a little bit. So that's the first key takeaway. A couple of just interesting notes. 40% of homeowners in the country don't even have a mortgage, which I think is amazing. And then the nationwide LTV, which refers to loan to value, so you're comparing how much you owe on your mortgage versus the home value, national average is at 44%. So that means we got a lot of people with a lot of equity.
A lot of equity.
So there's, adding those things up is just, people are talking about there's gonna be a recession, or even people are throwing out a depression. Like, that's just not gonna happen in this housing market. We're not in that environment whatsoever. Another thing that I thought was cool is the strength of home buyers is night and day better compared to what we were, during the crash 10, 15 years ago. The majority of home buyers have credit scores over 720.
Wow.
So these are well-qualified people.
Yeah.
So again, just a combination of those things, it just shows that the market is strong. If people for some reason could no longer make their payments, they could sell their house and they have so much equity. It's
Right.
the type of thing that
Right.
people are upside down in their homes. And another interesting factor is actually more people with a 6% mortgage than there are with 3%.
Wow.
So as much as people are wanting to hold on to those low rates that we've talked about, people understand with all this equity, they can sell their house, have a bunch to pull out, and they're willing to take on an interest rate that's a little higher to get the next house that they want. And because they
Yeah.
have so much equity, their payment may not even be that much higher because they're putting such a big down payment into the next property.
Right,
So
right.
that was encouraging to see that, as much as people are saying, I don't want to get rid of my 2 or 3%, well, obviously people are, because there's more people with a 6% rate
Right.
than there are with a 3%.
Right.
And then the last thing, our housing inventory right now nationwide, we're at about 1 million, whereas pre-crash in 2008 there was about 4 million homes in inventory. So
Wow.
the inventory is not where it was; it's still pretty low. But again, that's actually a good thing in the sense that it's not like there's so many homes sitting there and
Yeah.
not enough buyers. Like, there's still a quarter of what there was in 2008. So all those things combined, among many other things that Logan talked about, it just shows we're in a really good place, and think this is going to be a really good year.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, those are all so encouraging, and
Yeah.
it is exciting. I mean, that's one thing that I've been talking about too. I know Garrett and I have talked about it even on our podcast, but like that there is, when you're looking to sell and then you're looking to buy, the whole idea is that you just want your payment to be where you can afford, right? Or have it be low. But there's multiple ways to get there. The interest rate is one of those if you have to finance a large chunk. But if you have a large chunk to put down, then the interest rate being super low doesn't necessarily matter as much. So I love that he talked about that too, because it's so true. And then, like, hypothetically, if you're at the payment that you really like at a higher interest rate and they drop, you're even going lower than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
And
there
then
is
another option is, if you're in a position that you've got so much equity, you may just do a HELOC,
Right.
pull some of that equity out, keep your existing home, rent it out, let someone else pay that mortgage on your 2 or 3% interest rate, take the money from the HELOC and put it into a down payment on your new house.
Wow.
So you may not even have to get rid of that other house, assuming that you can qualify for both. But
Yeah.
that's how people start building wealth, is being able to add properties rather than just selling one and buying another.
Right.
But
Oh,
you're
that's
able
a
to hold
super
on,
great
and right
point.
now, because of all the equity, people are in a position to do that.
That's such a
One
great
thing
point.
too is what we've looked at is you have all these people that bought these homes back in those 2 to 3%, and that was, we're saying almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
At that time, their family has grown and they're busting at
Yeah.
the seams on those houses that they originally bought, which was their first time house, which they thought they were never going to let go. It's 2 to
Right.
3%. It's not livable now. You need to be able to move, and you have the potential to do that with the equity that you've made in your house, right?
Yep. Yep.
Well, and not only that, I think we're finding that a lot of people actually have more house than they need, but they're just reluctant to sell because they feel like they're also generally at that point, when you start having more house than you need, it means that your kids have moved out and maybe you're needing to downsize. So maybe your income isn't as high as it was and you're concerned about getting higher interest rates. But again, there are other ways to get that low payment than just the interest rate. So I think that's why these conversations right here are so important. We really want to share with the consumer, the buyer or seller, what their options are when they're not really sure. So I love that the interest rates are low because that's very beneficial to buyers. I mean, I know a ton of people that are refinancing right now
Oh, yeah.
because of the
yeah.
current rates. So that means they're a lot better than they were.
Absolutely.
And then, so really, I mean, this is a good time to get ready to buy. It is a good time to get ready to sell. And, but there are some steps that need to be taken before you get there. If you're thinking about buying, contact us. If you're thinking about selling, say you want to sell in April, there's some steps that need to be done starting today to be ready to sell in April. If you want to buy in March, like, we want to help you get there. So it's not like, oftentimes you don't just decide today you're going to buy or sell and then tomorrow you're doing it. Like, there are some steps that have to be taken. So hit us up and we'd love to help walk you through those steps. And so,
Yeah, I would say if you're within 3 to 4 months of what you think is your timeline for buying, then or selling, now is the time to reach out to the team.
yeah,
Because it can take, it may be a quick approval, it may take some time to get you approved.
Right.
Right,
Or you may
right.
get approved, it may take a couple months to find that house. So
Right.
if your lease is up in May, don't wait until middle of April
Right.
to say, okay,
Yeah.
now I want to get approved. You need to start now so you're ready to go and find a place by the time your lease is up.
that's right.
And go ahead, say it, Shane. When you go get approved, it doesn't hurt you any
No.
little bit to do it.
Right.
Soft credit pull, no impact on your credit. So
Perfect.
there's zero downside to getting approved. All it's going to
Yeah.
do is set you up for success. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. A lot of times people say, oh, I know I'm not going to buy for
Yeah.
4, 6, 8 months. As soon as you get them approved, they're suddenly now interested in shopping. And
Right.
more
Yeah.
oftentimes than not, they found the perfect home within a matter of weeks and then they're in contract. So
Right.
it's not going to be a pressure situation, but we just get you ready and then it's up to the buyer if and when they want to move forward with something.
And one thing that I've heard often, especially in the last several months, is I'm not in a position to buy. I literally had a client that just recently was communicating with us actually about a rental. And when we saw her income and her credit, we were like, why are you not buying? She said, oh, because I don't have good enough credit to buy. And we said, how much credit do you think you have to buy? And she's like, at least a 700 or, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Well, she has like, I think it's like a 680 credit score, and she makes way more money than she needs to on a monthly basis in order to be purchasing right now. So the nice thing about getting in touch with the lender today is A, you may already be qualified to buy, but B, if you're not qualified and you yourself, who's not a lender and who's not done this before, are saying to yourself, I'm going to work on A, B, and C, but what if it's more important that you're working on D, E, and F? Like, that's the value of reaching out to a lender first, is that he can tell you these are more important for you to be working on than what you think. And so that's really awesome to actually have the keys to the kingdom, right? Like, let's know what you need to do to actually be able to open that door. And so
Yep.
that's why it's so important to be reaching out to a lender right now, is to prepare for when the time comes when you do want to buy. So
And to ruffle some feathers, your dad, unless he actually is in the mortgage industry, is not a loan professional. Your brother or brother-in-law, they are not mortgage professionals. So take their advice if you want, but talk to someone who actually is licensed in the mortgage or real estate industry, because their buying process 20 years ago is not what it is today. So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe back at a certain point you did need a certain credit
Right.
score or whatever. We're in a totally different industry now.
Really
So
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to educate with a professional.
Right.
Know what your options are. I will happily talk to the dad or the brother-in-law as well. That's totally fine.
yeah, you're like,
But-
we love you, dads.
yeah, but until you've actually talked to a professional, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Well, that's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of episode 2 of the Lending Lounge. And stay tuned. We are going to have a home buying and selling seminar coming up here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So stay tuned for that. We're going to actually be able to bring you in and educate you in person and actually get you started on this process. But in the meantime, we will see you next week on the Lending Lounge. Have a great week.
You guys